These are my friends, and I know all of us must have seen the fuel queues in filling stations across the country. Very, very understandable that whenever announcements of changes to price of petroleum happens, both buyers and also marketers will like assurance of what exactly this means. And typically, consumers will rush to the fuel station to fill their tanks, and that is why you are seeing these queues. And also for marketers, they would like to see what exactly this means in the sense that, so how are we going to sell the product if subsidy on PMS is removed? And the combination of two is what you are seeing, the obvious dislocation of distribution, and we believe that this will go away very, very quickly. And as you are aware also, as you may be aware, the Petroleum Industry Act has made it very clear that the price of petroleum must be priced at market. That means there must be commercial price for petroleum, 6 months, and that terminates 6 months after bringing into law of the Petroleum Industry Act. That's as sent to the Petroleum Industry Bill, now the law, that is August 2021. So after that, you do not have recourse to any subsidy on petroleum motor spirit. But however, our country also decided to provide for subsidy in the 2022 Appropriation Act and also half year in 2023. The combination of this is that while the Petroleum Industry Act was clear that petroleum should be priced, but it didn't say that government cannot spend its money in any way it wants. And therefore, we as a commercial company established under the Petroleum Act, we are doing it simply as business, delivering value to a supplier of last resort by virtue of the law, but at a cost to the Federation. And that cost includes the cost of subsidy. This subsidy cost should have been money that will be given to the NNPC maybe on monthly basis or even on daily basis if necessary. But however, since the provision of the 6 trillion in 2022 and the 3.7 trillion in 2023, we have not received no payment whatsoever from the Federation. That means they are unable to pay, and we continue to support the subsidy from the cash flow of the NNPC. That is, when we net off our fiscal obligations of taxes and royalty, there is still a balance that we are funding from our cash flow. And that has become very, very difficult and affecting our other operations. We are not able to keep some of this cash to invest on our core businesses, and the end result is that it can be a huge challenge for the company. And we have highlighted this severally to government that they must compensate NNPC, they must pay back NNPC for the money that we have spent on the subsidy. Fortunately, also by virtue of the provisions of the law, and also the Appropriation Act 2023, it is no longer available for that funding. And we are very convinced today that the country can no longer fund this subsidy bill, and they will not be able to pay NNPC. And therefore, we are pleased to note Mr. President's commitment to elimination of this subsidy because they can't afford it anymore. And we will take necessary steps to ensure that we recover our costs from the market, and also being mindful of the fact that, a situation like this can lead to exploitation of customers, and we're also working with the regulator who is here with me to see how we can cap any such excessive management of greed, to say the least. And this will be contained by virtue of the provisions of law, the authority or the Nigerian midstream and downstream regulatory authority, and the anti-competition agency. They play their part, and obviously my colleague is going to speak by it. Otherwise, we believe very strongly that this is actually belated. We have been doing subsidy that has not significant value to the rest of the Federation and the rest of our countrymen. And we think this is a very, very commendable step taken by Mr. President to bring into effect the provisions of the law. And thank you very much. First of all, that is why the regulation is good. So I can't give you any price now, because the price in the market changes, it goes up, it comes down. So if I give you a figure now, we are fixing price. Thank you very much, Chairman. Yes, sir.
We also understand that the provision of the law that provided the removal of subsidy from February 2021. Therefore, Mr. President's pronouncement yesterday was in line with the law. However, what I can assure you that as an NNPCL, we are ready to license anybody that wants to import, because NNPC has always been the supplier of premium motor spirit. However, with the removal of subsidy, as pronounced by Mr. President, that has opened the floodgate for any intended marketer or company that wants to import premium motor spirit in the country. We are ready to issue licenses or permits for them to do so. At least that will open more competition, and the NNPC now will reduce, of course, the burden. There will be less burden on NNPC to continue with this. So that's one. Number two, I also want to assure the public that ourselves, NNPCL, and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, will make sure that the customer or the consumer is not taken advantage of. Because I had a discussion earlier with Tunde, the commissioner of FCCPC, and we intend to work together to ensure that the consumer is not taken advantage of. Secondly, or thirdly, I want to call upon all the marketing companies to open up their petrol stations and depots to sell to the public, because they will hear communication from NNPC, because NNPC currently has all the stock in the country. And NNPC will do their transfer price. And when you ask what is going to be the price, I cannot tell you exactly, because the market is deregulated. Therefore, it's going to be an open market based on the cost of delivery. So NNPC, of course, will advise all the marketing companies very soon to say this is their transfer price, and on the basis of that, they now will translate into what the pump price is going to be. So there's not going to be any cap per se, but it's going to be based on the cost of importation. And again, I repeat, ourselves and the FCCPC will ensure that the consumer is not taken advantage of. Thank you very much.
Petroleum Industry Act, that is the statement I made earlier, said that 6 months after the enactment of the Petroleum Industry Act, petroleum motor spirit will be priced at its commercial value. So there will be no subsidies 6 months after the enactment of the PIA. That means by February 17, 2022, there should have been no subsidy on PMS. Now, the National Assembly and government, in its wisdom, provided for subsidy in 2022, despite the fact that the provision of the PIS said terminated by 17th of February. So government can decide to spend its money anywhere it wants, and can bring succor and relief to its citizens. This is very typical. It happens all over the world. But however, that provision in 2022 and also 2023 has not been funded by government. A greater part of it is supported by the cash flow from NNPC's other businesses. And therefore, even though there is provision to the end of June, there is no financing even from the start. And therefore, since you can't pay, you cannot expect NNPC to continue to carry it. And this has been the position that the NNPC has taken. And what the president simply says is obeying the law, and also the realities that the Federation can no longer pay NNPC for the burden of subsidy that we are carrying. There's an ongoing conversation and engagements that we have not completed, but this is the reality today, is that government cannot afford it. It will be a further engagement that will take place, but this will be very clear in the market. Yes, please.
First of all, how much are you expecting from sure that Nigerians don't suffer more?
Our position is we are supplier of last resort to the Federation. We are a commercial company. We are supplying to the Federation during the subsidy regime. Now, I'm also aware that government will act to bring succor and relief to our country people. I know this government is very sensitive and they will do this. So there are engagements that are ongoing to bring into effect that component of it. So NNPC will not do anything because we are a commercial company. It will not come from NNPC, but I'm aware that the government will do something around this. But the reality is that you cannot give what you don't have. So today, the country don't have the money to pay for subsidy. There's incremental value that will come from it, but it is not an issue of whether you can do it or not, because today we can't afford it. And they are not able to pay our bill. That comes to how much is the Federation owing NNPC now. Today we are waiting for them to settle up to 2.8 trillion naira of NNPC's cash flow from the subsidy region. And we can't continue to build this. And the last one.
Well, actually, there are a lot of points that one needs to meet, conditions that needs to meet. So I cannot give you all the rundown now, but I can bet you that just the way marketers import diesel or jet kero, there are conditions for all that, and the same condition will apply to those who want to import premium motor spirit. Thank you.
Thank you very much.